Rise up. Welcome to Rise Up Radar, where we keep the Falcons on your radar. Thank you for joining me, Stan Parker, for another episode. Let's have a ballin' show. I've got 4 players in my mind that are going to take steps to being foundational players and having bigger roles and more responsibility in the 2020 season. Doing this podcast, there's something that came out of this that I would have never expected, is to really dig in through and draft class and see who drafted with who and who has been drafted together and what position they've been drafted. Because you don't really think about, oh, he's a 6th round pick and all that stuff. But like going through and looking at all the contributors that have been happening. So like 2018 draft class was Calvin Ridley, Isaiah Oliver, Deidre Snott, Ito Smith, Russell Gage, and Foye Oluokun. The only miss in that draft is Deidre Snott, the 3rd-round pick out of Baylor. This is not a draft class review or anything, but I just wanted to tell y'all that through this research and just digging through numbers and putting shows together, I've come to realize that Thomas Dimitroff here lately has been redeeming himself in my eyes, because I have been a Thomas Dimitroff hater for a while. I was calling for the axe to come down, just clean house, just clean everybody, and I thought it was strange to how he survived the Mike Smith era. They fired everybody except for the general manager, which doesn't generally happen. So maybe he's cool with Arthur Blank. I don't know, but like what he's been putting out here lately, it's been working. So anyway, so the four breakout players is what we're going to call them in the 2020 draft class. I picked 2 offense and 2 defense. So the first one for the offense is not what you think. It's not Todd Gurley. It's Chris Lindstrom. Number 14 overall pick in the 2019 draft. And he had an unfortunate rookie season. He had a great camp. He had a foot injury in week 1, and he was out until week 14, which is ridiculous. But when he jumped back into play, he started 5 games. He played and started 5 games at right guard. It's a really solidified right guard. Had a PFF grade of 66, which is Pro Football Focus. A lot of people don't like that, but it gives you a pretty generalized numerical value of, I don't know, kind of puts everybody on the same plane. Anyway, the games are totally different when he was in there, because he's big and he's nasty and he knows what he's doing. For Boston College, they have a pedigree of a lot of good offensive linemen coming through there. And the Matty Ice Boston College connection there. I don't know if it's legit or not, but hey, whatever. So check this stat out. That the games that Chris Lindstrom returned in, which is weeks 15 through 17, the Falcons averaged 104 yards per game rushing. And without him, the previous weeks, 81 yards per game, which is 31st in the league. I mean, that's a pretty huge. Now, a lot of factors probably changed. Maybe they're on this upswing or whatever, but I see Chris Lindstrom having a monster year and really solidifying that right side. And once he's having a monster year, you know who else is going to be eating? Todd Gurley the third, baby, TZ3. He's wearing number 21 now. That video came out wearing all black with the face shield, wearing 21, looking so fly, just ready to get after it. I think he's coming in with a chip on his shoulder. He's going to do good, but the linchpin of him doing well is going to be that offensive lineman because Todd Gurley can't run it and block him too. So Chris Lindstrom having a huge year in my mind is going to help the Falcons a lot, and I really think that it's going to help not only just obviously just Chris Lindstrom, his responsibility, but everybody around him is going to be better, and it's just going to be all together um, better. So that's my first my first breakout player. There was a couple other breakout players I could have chose. Obviously, Todd Gurley, maybe even Calvin Ridley, because I think he's yet to really blossom into what he's gonna be. But I chose a new face, and this Hayden Hurst, Red Thor. Um, I think that he has an opportunity to not only meet Austin Hooper's production, but bypass and excel beyond it to increase the production. He was drafted in 2018, his first round pick. There's another first rounder we keep talking about. They just keep adding first rounders. They should, yeah. We'll see how it does another one. DJ Khaled. They should get a song. It's like DJ Khaled, and then whenever the Falcons pick up another first round pick, he says, and another one. Anyway, um, he was drafted in 2018, first round pick, 25th overall out of South Carolina. And here's the crazy part. I didn't even realize this. Like I said, doing show notes and doing research puts things in a different perspective than you normally just go through as being a Falcons fan. I'm just a fan. I'm just doing all this from the internet, and so I've just been digging in, and it's been crazy to see. Like he's still on his rookie deal. Wow, he's still on his rookie deal, y'all. He is on the books till 2021, and there's an option for 2022 if they pick up his fifth-year option, which is super team friendly. So I see him as having a massive year. He's young, got a lot of play left in him. He played. He played now durability wise. He played all 16 games last year. Uh, he was a starter for 4 of those. He had a lot like Darquez. Um, he was buried in the depth chart because he got drafted to build chemistry with Lamar Jackson, and they had some chemistry. But then Hayden Hurst got hurt, and then this other cat joined the party, and he got buried in the depth chart because of that. So it was smart for the Ravens to trade him and get an asset for him. I think they got a second round pick for him, if I'm not mistaken. Um, he started four games, and he produced 349 yards, 30 receptions, and 2 touchdowns. Now, Austin Hooper, if we're comparing him, we're comparing apples to apples here. Austin Hooper had 787 yards, 35 receptions, and 6 touchdowns. And I don't think that's going to be a problem. I think that if Hayden Hurst gives you close to that, talking like 600 yards, 70 receptions, and 5 touchdowns. Like if we're getting into the ballpark there, it's gonna be that's gonna be worth it. And here's why that it doesn't show up on the stat sheet or whatever. If it doesn't show up unless you watch the film. Austin Hooper did not stay on the field for running downs typically, unless they're running packages. Hayden Hurst has the ability to stay on the field because he's such a good blocker, and that's going to bode well for him. So Matt Ryan can audible out and still have a weapon on the field. First target obviously going to be Julio. Second target's obviously going to be Calvin Ridley. The third one is not obvious. The third one could be Hayden Hurst, or the third one may be Todd Gurley. You got Russell Gage fighting for a third spot of the third option, and then Laquan Treadwell. But in my mind, it's got to be Julio, Calvin, and Hayden Hurst, man. And so that's going to be in Matt Ryan has always done good with a security blanket of a big physical tight end that's not is willing to work with him. Austin Hooper slept on his couch to get better with him because Austin Hooper had some of the dumbest interceptions. I mean, drops and whatever else. I mean, we're talking like slip through the hands, hit your chest pad, pop in the air. That's a pick. So like I've seen some idiotic things out of Austin Hooper. It's and kudos to him, man. And I hope he has a great career. But like him going through and being a late round draft pick and learning and being professional and really listening to Matt Ryan and being developed by Matt Ryan turned him into a Pro Bowler, a two-time Pro Bowler, turned him into a very high-paid tight end. And so I think the Matt Ryan effect will happen again with Hayden Hurst. I think uh, Hayden Hurst is talented. It's faster than Austin Hooper. He's got, I think, better range than Austin Hooper, and he's a better blocker than Austin Hooper. So look for Hayden Hurst to explode onto the scene and get um, a lot of targets. And so I'm really excited about that because of the versatility. I keep going back to that, just staying on the field for certain downs and distances, third down, that kind of thing. All right, then, so the first two is Chris Lindstrom. Obviously, um, he's only in his second year, and Hayden Hurst is really young too. So these are two young guys on the offense. And so I think just overall, as my outlook on the offense, I think they're going to be an offensive driven team as well. Still, I think Matt Ryan's going to throw the ball a ton, but I think they're going to. Dan Quinn always talks about balance, and it makes me nervous because he's been talking about balance for 3 years now, and they've yet to be balanced. So hopefully, this Todd Gurley and this offensive line can piecemeal it together and figure out that black hole that's in left guard to really solidify this offense. And I look for as an overall like overview. I see the Falcons being uh, top 10 in offensive production, uh, touchdowns, yards per game, and that kind of thing. I think they've got a good enough squad to be top 10. So that's I'm really high on the. I mean, I'm giddy. I always am, and what's okay. I'm the keeper of the Kool-Aid. So so the first two were the offensive players, and the second two, unfortunately, this young man got put onto the injured reserve or COVID-19 injured reserve list this morning, and so here and six other players have been added to the COVID-19 injury reserve, but it's Foye Oluokun. Foye Oluokun is a sixth-round pick in 2018. Go back to that 2018 draft class. You got Calvin Ridley, Isaiah Oliver, Deidre Sanat, no thanks. Ito Smith still contributing. Russell Gage still fighting. And Foye Oluokun, the second sixth-round pick. The second sixth-round pick is now your starting will linebacker, weak side linebacker. He's going to take Devondre Campbell's role. He's a tackling machine already. So he's in the year Dion was hurt. Devondre slid over and played a lot of Mike, and then Oluokun played. I think really what happened was Oluokun played a lot of Mike, and Devondre Campbell played the will, but Devondre Campbell was calling plays. So I think that's technically what happened. But the year Deion Jones went out and it kind of all fell apart, Oluokun saw the field a lot, and that really helped him. Last year he was a tackling machine, and then this year he'll step right into the role. Devondre Campbell, I think, led the team in tackles the last 2 years because of injuries and him just being all over the place. So I see Oluokun seeing a lot of run that way. Crazy, awesome special team player, fast and physical. Oh man, I did not expect to say that in a sentence. I stay away from the sayings. That was a natural. Anyway, I think back of that. One of my favorite plays from him was against the Saints, and he recovered two offside kicks from them, like in succession, which was incredible. And they ended up still losing that game, I think, Falcons. Um, so yeah, just a little bit about Foye. He's from Yale. Went to college at Yale. Ran a 4.48 in college. Um, Sixth round pick, like we said earlier, in 2018. So this is only his going into his third year now, and he was a former safety coming out of Yale. In Yale, they had him listed as a safety. Dan Quinn doing the versatility thing. Basically, all of the linebackers really just in body type, other than Devondre Campbell, have been, that hybrid safety linebacker look to them. So they tall enough and big enough to run and, bring down whoever they need to bring down. So it's kind of like the NFL is in the modern day NFL. It's like basketball going to like positionless basketball with like the Rockets not really having a center. I think Dan Quinn is building or has been building a positionless defensive group for the linebackers, like Keanu Neal in street clothes and 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 Deion Jones in street clothes look very similar to each other. But that's completely different than the teams in the 2000s, whatever. It's like what the safeties look like versus what the giant linebackers look like. Like think of like Ray Lewis and Brian Urlacher versus I don't know Ed Reed. So anyway, I don't know how we got there, but I look at Foye Lukin having an awesome year, a, uh, a strong year, and the defense to be improved with a lot of new faces, which means there could be a lot of time needed to coordinate. I think there's still going to be some sloppy play when all of this does take the field. I think it's because of no training camp, because of no really. I mean, there's going to be OTAs, but it's going to be all jumbled. It's not going to be the same as it's done every year. So that could affect the young guys not knowing what to expect, and it could affect the old guys to breaking routines. We don't we don't know. So I think when they do finally lace up the cleats and step between the numbers, Foye is going to have a great year. And we'll do like an overall like overview of my take on the defense after the second pick. And here's the second pick for a breakout season. The first one was Foye Lukin on the defensive side. The second one on the defensive side is a player that I am not fond of. It's a player that disappoints me and has disappointed me a while, which is probably a pretty big list of Falcons players if we're just being real with each other. But it's Tack McKinley, Takaris McKinley, 2017 draft, first rounder, number 19. He played in last year. He played in 13 games. He recorded 3.5 sacks. I remember when he came out. He carried his picture of his grandmother up to the podium. Yeah, he yelled. He was very excited that he made it, and that he in the media told the media that he guarantees that he will get double-digit sacks, and I don't think he's yet to come near. I don't think he's. Last year he definitely didn't come near 10-digit sacks. He had 3.5. So that's not good. 3 quarterback hits, and not 3 quarterback hits. Excuse me, 13 quarterback hits. All right, so this is something that's going to come from watching film and not watching stats, unless you're looking at pressure rate. But Tack McKinley is always a second behind. He's always grabbing the quarterback a second late. He's always just missing it. Just missing it. Always a hair late. Always just missed his window of window of getting a sack. So what's going to change this year is Dante Fowler. I think Dante Fowler is going to apply more pressure than Vic Beasley applied, and I think Marlon Davidson is going to apply more pressure than previous defensive tackles in his position applied. So therefore, the quarterback could stand up for a little more. Also on the back end, you're going to have a lot of depth in the back end. I'm not going to go through all the names again because we could, because I go through the names all the time in my head. I know the defense backward and forward, and I probably could sit down right now with a piece of paper and a pen and write down the 53-man roster. Mostly. So the back end's going to get better. His counterpart in the defense is going to be better. Dante Fowler, and so this all opens the door. So along with all of these guys are getting affected. The breakout players I've selected are being affected by other positions getting better or changing or improving. So Tack is no different. He's always a second late. We've already covered that, and then and maybe he even switches sides. I know he switched from left side to right side, and maybe Dante Fowler has preference, but I just hope that it's all. This is the only one that I've said I hope he gets better, because these other three I'm pretty solid that I've seen it coming, and I feel good about my prediction of yes, Chris Bishop's going to have a great year. Yes, Hayden Hurst's going to have a great year. Hayden Hurst's going to have a great year. Yes, Foye Oluwakin's going to have even more of a good year. In fact, Tack is the one that I'm like, I hope he has a good year, but I see it. I see it. All the pieces line up, and another piece that lines up is two things. Number one, his fifth-year option didn't get picked up. Radio silence. So, with Vic Beasley, which is a strange deal that they picked up his fifth-year option and did not re-sign him. If they were going to do that, they should have either traded him or, cut him to not. I mean, you could have saved yourself $12.8 million, whatever. I can't remember what it was, but, it was a decent amount of. You would have given you a little more wiggle room in the free agent department. Anyway, so it's a contract year for him, basically. This is last year of his deal. If he balls out, he can come back to the Falcons on a much bigger, higher price tag, or that he could ball out this year and, lead the league in sacks with a 22.5, set the record, and whoever else wants to back the Brinks truck up to him, and the Jets might unload their entire whatever on him. Who knows? But for him and his agent and his money and his people, he needs to get on it this year. That way he can put out good film and saying, hey, give me lots of money. And then, which works well with the Falcons. And then the last thing that should contribute to him having a better year than last year, or having an impact year, or having a breakout year, is he's going to be healthy, I think, this year for the first time in a while. We haven't heard too much on the injury front. A lot of COVID-19 stuff going on right now. But Tack had the surgery pretty early in the off season. He had, I think, surgery on his shoulder. So if he can be back from that, be healthy, his contract year, his opposition is better, the back end is better. All these factors point to him having a good year and having an impact year. And once he starts getting sacks, he can start commanding doubles from the defense, and therefore others can start eating. So there's a lot of accountability that goes along with this defense. They could be playing some. I've read some stuff that they could be playing a lot more man this year because they've got depth at corner. That's to be seen. I don't know. I'm not into the defensive coordinator's room, but this Falcons defense is going to be much improved. I think I look to see them. I don't know if top 10 is necessarily um, realistic or where I'm going with it, but I'm thinking 12, top 12. That's a strange way of saying it, top 12, but I mean before 15, unless between 10 and 15 is where I see the Falcons an overall defense, especially if they can create takeaways with some talent in the back end. Um, so I really uh, am looking forward to this season and seeing how all these I've talked about this ad nauseum and I've talked about this tons, but all these brand new faces have to, well, see each other face to face and know where each other is going to be. So my my four breakout players this year are Chris Lyncham, offensive guard, Hayden Hurst, tight end, Foye Lukin, linebacker, and Tat McKinley, defensive end. Make sure you like and subscribe and download. Our next episode is going to be the Forgotten Falcons. We're going to highlight some Forgotten Falcons, some minor names that true Falcons fans would be like, oh man, I remember that guy. He was so good. He may have been a flash in the pan, or he might have been here for 100 years. So tune in next time as we go through my list of my favorite Forgotten Falcons. Thank you for joining us for another episode of Rise Up Radar. If you like what you heard, go ahead and subscribe, rate, and review. And if you have any questions, if you have any show suggestions, go ahead and drop them in the comment section. And thank you for listening again. And until next time, rise up.